When you make a frequency table or a histogram, the width of the class sizes needs to be the same. And what that means is like counting up how many data points fit between 28.5 and 31.0. That's the class lower bound and upper bound, the limit, the lower limit and the upper limit. So if a number fits between these two or hits exactly this number, like 31 or hits 28.5, then we count it up. And they've already filled that out for us here. They said that there's one number. If you go through here, 20, oh, it's least to greatest. So 30.7 is between these two numbers. And since there's only one number, we put a 1 here. The widths have to be the same throughout, though, okay? You can't have one class size be 2 in width, one class size be 3 in width. So what you can do is use that full class, the upper class limit and lower class limit to determine the class sizes here. Okay, so if we subtract those, it's 2.5 for width. That means if I start at 25.9 for a lower limit, then I need to add 2.5 to it. Oops. Not 2.5, 25.9 to it. Yeah, so 25.9, add 2.5 to it, like I said the first time, that's 28.4. So that's the upper class limit. And then you can go in reverse. If the upper class limit is 25.8, we said the width is supposed to be 2.5. 23.3 needs to be the lower class limit here. And see how it's not overlapping? This is 23.2, this is 23.3. So it's working out perfectly. So yeah, you could just, actually that logic works a little bit quicker. Look, if this is 20.6, then this has to be 20.7. And then for this one, I think you've got to take 20.6 and subtract 2.5 from it. So that's 18.1 for the lower class limit. And the frequency, you just count how many data points are between these two, okay? So 18.1, this fits in that class because it's right on the line here. Looks like there's just one that fits here. 18.1, that's the only number that's between these. And the next one, look, there's 1, 2, 3 numbers that are between 20.7 and 23.2. That's why they put a frequency of 3 here. So 25.9 and then 28.4, it looks like there's 2 numbers that fit there. So they gave us a histogram, and they're asking us, let's see, how much will they have to spend to investigate items that have an unusually high number of views? So when you're looking for something unusually high, usually you're looking for a gap like this in the histogram. So there looks to be 2 that have an unusually high number of views. Okay, so there's 2, I don't know what these are, videos or 2 items that have an unusually high number of views. And so that means it's $200 each. 2 times 200 gives us $400. So they're going to have to spend $400 to investigate those unusually high views. They've given us a frequency table, and they want us to make a histogram out of it. Look, these lower class limits are supposed to be how long across the frequency, the histogram is going to be. So when you make your histogram, the first vertical bar that you see, that's sometimes called the bin, needs to start at 12.5. So this dot needs to be 12.5. And then the bar ends at 20.3 here. Okay, and then the next one starts at 20.4 to 28.2. What you should be seeing are bins that are equal in width. They should all have the same width. So a problem with this histogram is that this one is definitely more, it's skinnier than this one is. Okay, histograms always have to have the same width. So this one, the problem is this width on here needs to be dragged to 20.3, and it needs to start at 12.5, like I just mentioned. So that bin is wrong. This bin is also wrong because this first blue bin, it starts at 20.5 for the lower limit, but it's supposed to start at 20.4 for the lower limit. It's supposed to end at 28.2, so this black dot needs to be dragged over there. So make sure you get the widths right. The frequency, I think students usually get right. You just need to make sure that, like, this one is correct. The first bin needs to go to 6 for frequency. The second bin needs to go to 5. The third bin needs to go to 1. So those are all correct with this graph. There's 0 here, There's 2 here. But the widths, got to make sure that the widths are all the same. So a correct graph for this should look something like this one here. Okay, the widths are all the same, and their widths are according to what they told us they need to start and stop at up here. What is it, 12.5 and 20.3. Oh, so if it's on the border here, because they're sharing it, I think use the minimum value as the first lower class limit. So that's kind of confusing. Okay, but Newton wants you to drag this black dot to start at the minimum for this data set, and then to drag the next black dot to the minimum of the blue one, which was 20.4 was the lower class limit there. And then to drag the next one for this green dot, the lower class limit for the third section is 28.3. These are all drawn for the lower class limit.